Reppin' Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? It's time for the Brotherly Birds Breakdown with me, Jim Montgomery, and my brother Kyle.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? So, week 2, Chiefs going out to KC, get some of that good barbecue, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But first, we had a game last week. It was good to be back in the stadium.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful to be back, see all the familiar faces, see our familiar seats. And it's always good to see a win against the hated rival Cowboys. So,
No, I agree with the seats. A little side note, went to the preseason game, took the family down, and some people were sitting in our seats. And I'm like, I don't care. It's a preseason game. So I sat 2 rows in front. It just didn't feel the same. Like, I don't know if 25 or 23 years of me getting my butt groove in there means something or what, but it's definitely a different feeling.
yeah, it is. And you do feel like a sense of home since we've been there so long. You know what I mean? Like the walks up those steps sometimes aren't as bad once we're in our seats, you know.
Agreed.
They're still bad, don't get me wrong, but they're sometimes not as bad.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's start, I guess, with the ceremony. Obviously, it was banner night. I think over the years, one thing that Jeffrey Lurie has done right, he's kind of grown into it. I still remember the Reggie White retirement ceremony was pretty bogus. But over the course of the time, I think Jeffrey does ceremonies right, whether it's retirement, Hall of Fame, banners. What was your take on that?
I think they knocked it out of the park. It was short, it was sweet, it wasn't over the top. It was just enough, and I think he knows now that it's for the fans, right? So I think he gets it. And you know, I brought up last week how Nick Sirianni's a Philly guy. I know Jeffrey is from Boston. He's really a Boston guy at heart, but I think he gets Philly. I think he understands it, and he does truly get it because, to your point, when he does these ceremonies, he knows it's for the fans, and he does a great job with it. So whether it's him that has a hand in it or him that picked the right people to create that, you know, it's definitely something that we look forward to when they have the halftime ceremonies. I still remember, and I still have pictures of. Remember the Randall one at halftime. That
Yep.
Randall one was by far one of the best ones I've ever seen, and it was something where you sat in your seat at halftime, you were glued to it, you didn't want to leave. So he does do that right for sure.
No, obviously, and it's nice, and hopefully the trend continues that the banners are starting to get closer to being hung over top of our seats, which is
Yep.
always nice too.
Yep, it'll be nice to touch one every now and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and of course somebody will try it and fall, but
Yeah.
hey, it's Philly. That's what happens.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, it is.
but the fireworks started like before the game even started, though. So I don't know about you, but it took everybody texting me to let me know what was happening because Van Sumeren got hurt. So it was sort of like we were just waiting for him to get carted off. You knew it was bad when they bring the card out. And then all of a sudden you hear the referee say, it's not ejected, disqualified from the game.
Disqualified.
And I
Yep.
was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we didn't really know. We thought it was all connected somehow. We had no idea, you know, in the heat of it on that kickoff, and then when they brought the teams out, we had no idea what was going on when you're in the stadium like that because the
right,
crowd was so hyped up that you couldn't even, all you heard was the word disqualified. You didn't really hear much else, you know?
right. And I mean, to speak to it, I mean, the news came out, I guess, was it officially today or was it yesterday that, so of course the NFL can't make it easy. He's suspended for a game, but he gets credit for time served from the game
Basically,
before.
because he was ejected before the first snap of the game.
Right. And instead of just saying we're not going to suspend him, we're finding him a game check for that game. He got paid even though he didn't play, but then he's going to play on Sunday but not get paid for it. And it's just Roger Goodell sometimes makes things way more difficult. But my take on it is you have to be smarter than that. Whether or not Dak provoked you, which listen, he's a scumbag. I think he completely provoked him. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I mean, I'm not going to ever say this too much on a podcast like this. Kudos to Dak for taking advantage of that, knowing that he could get under his skin. But Jalen's got to be smarter than that because, and we'll get it. I mean, we can kind of jump around a little bit, but the Cowboys, to their credit, took advantage in the first half
Mhm.
of Jalen Carter not being there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it goes back to one of your 3 keys of the game. Your first key, keep the emotions in check. And that wasn't just for the opening ceremony, that was for everything, and Jalen did not keep his emotions in check.
No,
And to your point, Dallas took advantage of it, and rightfully so, right? But they didn't have enough in the end, and that's what good teams do. Good teams still find a way to win. I will say this, and I'm gonna throw this out there, throw my 2 cents in the ring for the Jalen Carter incident, right? So we're all grown adults. You and I are grown men, right? Spitting in somebody's face or spitting at someone is the ultimate form of disrespect, right? Having
yes,
said that, on a football field, do we really think that spitting at someone's jersey was as bad as Myles Garrett taking a helmet and trying to physically decapitate Mason Rudolph? Let's be real about this, right? So it's a football field. He spit, he spit. Myles Garrett took a helmet and used it as a weapon to physically maim Mason Rudolph, and he was within 2 inches of doing that and could have faced worse charges than a game check.
right.
But what did he do? The next year, he went on to win Defensive Player of the Year, and we still act like that never happened, right? But yet we want to vilify Jalen Carter and make him out to be the biggest scumbag in the face of the earth because he spit at Dak Prescott. Come on. As Eagles fans, I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form, but let's be real about it. We've all seen videos of Dallas fans spitting on Eagles jerseys and doing stuff like that. So the term of spitting on someone in the Dallas Eagles rivalry probably isn't too far fetched. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't think that it's the most heinous act in the history of football, but
No.
it is a very disrespectful act, and he does need to know better. And honestly, I I hope that Sirianni suspends him for at least a series, if not a quarter. Send a message because all he was preaching was discipline, 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 and no pun intended, but Jalen Carter basically spat in his face by doing that.
No, and that's a great point, and I think that kinda got lost in it because I think everybody's like, "Oh, Jalen Carter has a history." So that's just listen, maybe he does, maybe he need whether it's professional help or whatever, that I don't think is the point. I think the point is, like you said, Nick Sirianni preaches the discipline, and that was not discipline, and I'm really excited or I shouldn't say excited, but anxious to see how that plays out because I agree because I think he loses credibility not only with us because it's like, oh, well, here you go. You're the guy that preaches discipline. And then last time we were in Kansas City, you were out there yelling at fans and you were yelling at our fans last year. But he loses credibility in that locker room because then if somebody else has an incident or somebody's late to a meeting or somebody does an egregious penalty or something in the game, you can't suspend them or you can't discipline them because you let Jalen get away with that.
Right, right. And look, Jalen Carter was late to meetings last year, and he sat him for a few series in a game. So he does have a precedence of doing this, and he needs to do that. And look, do I want to bench our best defensive player in a series in a game against the Cow or the Chiefs? No, no, I don't. But I think you have to look at the bigger picture here, and you have to the set the bar high for this stuff and set expectations that you're not going to let this fly, especially when you got guys like Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson and Mailata and Zach Bond, like veterans on the team that have been around a while. You start losing them, you're done. We know what happened in 23, right? Where we lost the
Right.
locker room. We don't want another situation like that again. So I think Sirianni needs to set that bar and suspend him for at least a couple series, if not the whole first quarter.
And I think he will. I mean, the fact that he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you, even if no matter what you see, I'm not going to tell you what happened. I think that basically is saying, yeah, there's going to be something, but I'm not going to sit there and put our business out there for you to go pick apart all week when you're already getting on him anyway.
Right, and that goes back to me saying I think Nick Sirianni is the greatest Eagles coach in history because of that. He preaches, he keeps things in house, and he does keep things in house. Right. So
Right.
if you hear anything that happens in that locker room, it's not coming from Nick. It's coming from some
No,
rat that's in that locker room that's spilling it. Right. So I think he has a good disciplined team there, and he just needs to keep that edge and keep everybody on the same page. So I think he'll do the right thing.
I do too. And let's hope we don't hear because we all know what happened with the rats in 23 and that whole fiasco.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but so kudos again to the Cowboys for taking advantage of that. But how about Vic Fangio making those adjustments on the fly? And I think in all the talk of the weather delay and Jalen Carter, I think that got lost in the story here is yeah, like last minute, now all of a sudden he's scrambling, but they did what they needed to do, especially in the second half to contain Dak and the Cowboy offense.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a professional, right? He's been around the block and he knows how to do this stuff. And you and I were talking at the game, like, when is he going to make these adjustments? We had faith in him to do it, and he came through. He came through. He trusts his guys. He put his guys in the right spot. Look, I mean, I know it's one game and we shouldn't overreact, but we do have a glaring need at a QB or a CB2 spot, like our cornerback spot, and it could it be Bennett? It could be Bennett once he gets up to speed with the playbook. I know for sure it's not a Dory Jackson. I think he could come in a pinch like Keely Ringo last year, but Jackson's not a starter, and I think we saw that. And you
Right.
know, Vic was able to kind of hide his weaknesses in that second half, and he was able to kind of do what he was able to do with flying those guys around. And look, hats off to the rookie Campbell, man. Campbell played solid pass coverage in that second half as well. So it was good to see. It was good to see, and I'm glad that Vic made the adjustments he did.
No, I agree. And he did say this week, he was when asked if is Dory Jackson the starter, he was like, for now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, what that entails, but I mean, Jacorian Bennett, my buddy Kenny King, who's a Raiders fan, said, you guys got a dog. He said he's going to be a good fit for Fangio's system. Maybe now that we're getting into it, I kind of thought that Bennett would get the start this week just because he was familiar with Kansas City. I kind of expect him to get some playing time this week, though.
Hmm. He
Um,
will. He will for sure. He plays the type of defense that fits in with everybody else, and if you can trust him at cornerback, that means that you can then slide Cooper back into like that nickel spot to roam around and fly around like a crazy person, like what he does best. So
right, and that's what Vic wants anyway.
yeah, yep, yep, for sure.
All right, so shifting gears to the offense, kind of the similar situation, a tale of two halves for the offense. I thought they looked pretty good and moved the ball well in the first half. And I know like after the weather delay, everything was sort of kind of off. But they kind of struggled somewhat in the second half. And like I don't know if that's Petula's play calling. Is it Jalen not trusting his reads? Is there something more to AJ possibly being injured? Like, there's a lot of question marks still.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Jalen had an issue with his reads on Thursday night. I think the defensive scheme that Dallas drew up was keep everything in front of you, and they played tight coverage. Look, let's not act like Dallas's secondary is not one of the top 10, top 8 in the league. They have solid defensive backs and solid cornerbacks, and they clamped down AJ and they clamped down Devontae, right? The one pass that Jalen was able to throw over 30 yards went to Jahan Dotson. So
Right.
let's not and Dallas Goddard caught 7 passes over the middle, not on the outside, over the middle, right? So they they did a good job of taking what the defense gave them, but I don't think it had anything to do with Jalen's reads. I think it was just good, solid coverage. I do think, to your point, I think AJ still hampered a little bit by that hamstring, and he couldn't get open as much as we're used to seeing him get open.
Right. No,
Because we got
no, I was going to say because it seemed too early that obviously Devontae isn't quite as fast, I don't think, as AJ. But like I pointed out a couple times beginning of the game, they were both running fly routes deep, thinking that okay, that's going to be open later in the game, but it just never materialized. But they weren't getting the kind of separation, to your point, that you would expect them to get down being the AJ and Devontae.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, the MO for Dallas's defense is linebackers and running the ball is usually how you succeed. I mean, last year I think they gave up 200 yards rushing 4 or 5 times, right? So I thought we were going to be able to run the ball very well against them with Saquon. I thought Saquon was going to have a day. He had an okay day, but it wasn't Saquon of last year, right? Which is fine. Um, but I feel like Jalen did enough and did what he was supposed to do. I mean, 19 of 23, 4 incompletions, and 3 of those weren't really his fault, so to speak. Like, they weren't
Right.
bad throws, they were just, so he didn't put the ball in harm's way, which is key. And we had one more turnover, or we got a turnover more than Dallas did, and that was the difference in the game because that really was a momentum shift.
No, it was. I mean, that was a game. And how about Bond chasing down? Now, Miles Sanders isn't quite as fast, I guess, as he used to be or ever was,
Right.
but kudos to Bond for chasing him down. Like it looked like who's the guy, the Flash, or who the guy that does
Yeah.
the thing in the Braves outfield.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I think it is a flash. Yeah, but
But
yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Honestly, what it reminded me of was the DK Metcalf on the interception where he chased the guy down and tackled him at
yes,
like the 5, and then all I could think about was who was it? Who was our running back? Kenyon Barner that when Jai got caught in that one game in 2017. He goes,
yes,
"Man, get your slow ass over here! You got caught from behind. You're so slow. It's embarrassing." That's what it looked like, man. Miles Sanders got caught by a linebacker. That's just now Zach Vaughn's not just an ordinary linebacker, but to your point, man, that was whew,
it was
that's
incredible.
tough. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're 1-0, and as Andy used to say, anytime can get a win in the National Football League, it's a good thing. So we move on, 1-0 in the division. But before we move on to the Chiefs, let's take a look at our picks. And looks like we both picked the Eagles to win, but we both had blowouts, and certainly was not a blowout. I say Quinyon would be the player of the game. He recovered the fumble, but I don't think he played his best game in the first half. You had Jihad as player of the game.
I,
I don't
I
know about
think
player of the game, but he played pretty well. You also said beast mode.
I listen, man. He had that pass breakup down the middle on that seam route where he played that coverage perfectly, and then he forced the fumble. And he got a couple pressures, but yeah, he didn't get any sacks or anything like that. But I think that was overall a great first game by him.
Oh,
And I think
hands
I
down.
think it's the first of many, and it's the start of a great career for him. Because think about how much better he would have done if Carter would have been in there. You know what I mean? So like you
Yeah,
got to take all that with a grain of salt too. And to your point, we both had blowouts, but we didn't know Jalen Carter was going to get ejected in the 6 seconds into the game. So
I think it would have been a blowout if if Jalen didn't get ejected. I think that's a blowout.
yep, yep. I completely agree because you heard what Dak said. They changed their whole blocking schemes. They changed everything. for the better, right? Because then they could double team somebody else. Ojomo was like non-existent because they double teamed him, you know.
Yep,
So, but yeah, I mean, I think we could call that, we could chalk it up to a tie for our players of the game because they both were in on that big play. And look,
fair enough.
I will say if Quinion didn't get tripped up, he was gone. He was gone. I forgot how
Oh, he
quick he
would.
was, man.
Yeah,
He was
and I was it,
quick.
that place would have exploded at that point if Quignon returned that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we'll call
Uh,
that one a tie.
all right, we both had Jalen Hurts. You said 3 touchdowns. He had 2. Um, I said a tush push, which we got that right. Saquon, AJ, and a defensive touchdown. I was this close to the defensive touchdown,
Yep.
but no Saquon, no AJ.
Saquon
You
got in
said
there.
it. What's that?
Saquon got
Oh
in.
yeah, Saquon did have
Yep.
a touchdown. I
Yep.
got to give
Yep.
myself some credit for that one.
Yep. Yep.
You had AJ and Devontae, so I think overall for the first week we can call it a tie.
Yeah. I think that's
I'm,
good. I think
I'm
that's
not going to
good.
be that easy on you this week, but it was banner raising week, so.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Just a quick mention. I should have mentioned this when we started, but this podcast, the Brotherly Birds Breakdown, is a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. It's a group of great guys and girls. We're both a part of it. My podcast is a part of it. Kyle's a part of a few podcasts. So go to clashingconferences.com, check them out, and see how you can join and join the fun. They're always looking for fans of new teams.
Remember, it's a network for the people, by the people, of the people. And that's all we do.
Patty.
We're sports fans that banter back and forth. So we don't accept Giants or Cowboys fans, though. So we have enough of them already.
Yeah, and they're typically the most vocal ones. But
Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't understand what they're saying, but they're vocal.
all right, so go to
Shout out to Randy. Shout out to
clashingconferences.com.
Randy.
All right, so it was banner week, and we got the banner by beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, belt to ass, whatever you want to call it. But it's the rematch, and based on the news of this week, lots of things went down for the Eagles this week. Got some injury news that I don't know if you caught this. I just happened to see it. Goddard might not play.
Yep. Yep. Knee sprain, right? Yep.
Yep.
Same knee
So
that he's been battling for the last couple of years, too. So that's
yeah,
tough.
I mean, it's a shame because could ton of all the potential in the world, but just cannot stay healthy. Like it's
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Jeremy Shockey. Remember Jeremy
yep,
Shockey was 8 to 10 games. Jeremy Shockey, that's what he was. He would miss 4 to 5 games every single year, and that's what you get out of Goddard. You get him for 12 games. Um, so like when he was quote unquote holding out and wanted a different contract and all that stuff, it's like, well, I can't pay you for what you would normally make for 17 games because you're only giving me 12.
prorate it.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got to prorate it, and I think that's why he took the hometown discount for that reason. So it's a shame. And look, he might not be out 3 to 4 weeks. He may just miss this week, and he may not miss at all. Who knows? But
right.
we'll see what happens. But I mean, I like a lot of the moves that they made this week that I'm sure you're going to touch on quick. But I'm a big Tank Bigsby fan, man. I'm a big Tank fan, and I think that was a you hate to see Shipley go down, and I think Shipley's cracked ribs are a lot worse than what we originally thought. I think he may be out 6 to 12 weeks because I think they're
That's some of the reports I saw said 6 to 12.
yeah, I think there's multiple cracked ribs, and it's not just one. And I think where they're at, he can't exactly pad them up. I think that's the problem. So, plus he's a physical back. He's not a Kenny Gainwell where he's shifty. You know what I mean? He's a pretty
He
strong, and he lowers his
absolutely.
shoulder. So, but yeah, I like me some Tank Bigsby, man. I think Bigsby's a perfect handcuff to Saquon, and I think he's going to do great returning kicks too.
Absolutely. And I was going to mention that. That's the thing I think that's underrated about that is he didn't do it much in Jacksonville, but when he did, he was one of the best in the league doing it. So, and with the way that the kickoff rules shifted this year, Howie out here playing chess again gets a guy that is able to kind of fit within those rules and help the team out. And he's under contract for another 2 years.
Yep.
So he's still on a rookie deal. So it's not like AJ Dillon's going to be gone next year. You have this guy now for at least 2 seasons. So I mean, Howie doing Howie things.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it was for a fifth and sixth round pick. So do we like giving up two draft picks? Look, if we get two draft picks for basically a starter in some capacity, I'll take that because a fifth and sixth round
Yeah.
pick, when you actually draft them, there's no guarantee they're going to start, even with how we drafted them. So I'll take that any day of the week.
Well, I even saw somebody put the draft picks that we still have for next year, and they still have like 10 or 11 draft picks
Hmm.
between all the compensatory picks. So it's not like, what are you going to do with them? Trade them for picks 2 years from now, or get a player that you're going to have under control for a couple years?
Right, and then if he because he's on his rookie deal and they got him so young in his contract, if he does move on, they'll get a compensatory pick for him. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So they're pretty smart about that. And to your point, man, Howie plays chess when other people are playing checkers. So he reads the room and he's a step ahead. So I like what he did, and let's not forget about Zadarius Smith. I think that was a very underrated pickup too.
I agree.
You
I,
know,
it, ha-
he's a vet. He's a vet. He's a longtime vet, and if he can somewhat give us what he used to be able to give us. I mean, here's what I anticipate. I anticipate him to have 8 to 9 sacks for the remainder of the year. I think
I
he's
would
that
take that.
good. Yeah, I think he's that good and playing on that D line in a rotation. You know, and we'll see what happens, but I think he could definitely give us some solid pass rushing snaps for sure.
No, I agree. And I feel like every move that Howie has made since free agency and the draft, I've said this about, but it's low risk, high reward. I mean, there's no risk to sign. I mean, they paid him probably more money than what he would have wanted to, but at this point, your cap number's really already set. So
Hmm.
you're just taking away from somebody's bonus that he'll just restructure Lane's contract again and give to somebody else anyway.
Yep. Yep. And look, I mean, we talked about it and touched on it last week, but with Jalen Hurts being with Jordan now, he's probably got a little bit of Nike money coming in that he can restructure his deal however he wants, and he's still getting paid. So
Jordan was at the game. I think Jalen's got a little bit more than a little bit of Jordan money coming
I
in.
would agree. I think he's a brand ambassador, similar to how Tiger was for Nike. I really do. I think he's at that. Now, look, Tiger had his own line and all that stuff. I'm not comparing Jalen Hurts to Tiger in that regard, but I think he's a very pivotal piece of the Nike brand and the Jordan brand right now.
Oh, 100%. So I think in that regard, Howie might be the winner of the week so far.
I think so.
When
I think so.
the leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I think he is, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, the two moves that he made and staying ahead of the curve, good for him. Good for him, man.
Yeah. Glad he's our GM.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It takes one less thing we got to worry about off our plate. You know, take
Yes.
notes, Dallas. Take notes.
Nah, not with Jerry. Not with
Yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs played in Brazil this week, the day after. I'll be honest, I there were so many other things between the Phillies and just being exhausted from being at the game. I did not watch much of this game, but I was able to watch some of the replays the next day. They didn't look good.
They didn't. They didn't. And you know, look, Xavier Worthy running into Travis Kelsey and separating his shoulder. That reminded me of my seventh grade baseball team with South Brandywine, and I played shortstop. John Wagner played third base. We were going for a ground ball. He ran into a brick wall in me, and he broke his collarbone. Well, I mean, look, that's just how it works. He ran into a bigger, better person. No offense, John, but that's what he Worthy did, man. And I think look, I'm not saying it was a conspiracy, but the only player that Taylor Swift likes more than Travis Kelsey on the Chiefs is Xavier Worthy. That was her guy. When they drafted him, she was all happy. So maybe Travis Kelsey put a hit out on him on purpose, you know?
Hey.
Newly engaged Travis Kelsey. I'm just throwing it out there. Starting some controversy. Hit us up, Kelsey brothers. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Listen, we're available to do a collaboration as well. Just throwing that
100%.
out there.
100%. Let's do it. Let's do it.
But but in all seriousness, that's a huge loss for them. I mean, they don't have a strong receiving core to begin with. Kelsey had one good play maybe. But he only had 2 catches, and he didn't do much in the Super Bowl. So I think
He's
that
looking old, man. He's looking old.
he does. I think he's 1 foot in retirement as it is, especially with being engaged. And I don't want to question anybody's motivations, but you have to think like how much like does he want to get up? Like how hard is it for him to get up on a Monday morning and be like, oh, I have to do this again when
Hmm.
he's got that Swifty money.
Especially when you're doing a podcast with your brother, you're talking with your brother all the time, and he just retired, and the guy that you've played football with basically your entire life and gone through all this with just retired, right? And is telling you how great retirement is and
Right.
chirping in your ear. That can't be that can't be healthy for you. But I will say this is exactly what Andy Reid, Mahomes, and even Kelsey want. They want to lull us into this little trap and think that they're done. I will never bet against them. I think that they will. They still have that keen ability to win. Just look, when the Patriots had their dynasty, they went almost a decade before they won another one, right? But they always had a competitive team out there. Always had a
Yes, they
competitive
did.
team with Brady and
Even without
Belichick.
Brady, they won 11 games without Brady the 1 year.
Exactly. So, like we know Andy Reid is top three coaches of NFL history at this point, right? He's that good of a coach. So Spagnuolo's a hell of a defensive coordinator. They still got some dogs on that team. But to your point, I don't know who they're going to throw to. I just don't know who they're going to throw to. Hollywood Brown is their number one target right now if Xavier Worthy can't go.
Which it doesn't look like I mean, I don't know. Like he hasn't practiced, which obviously he won't. But I think originally they were saying he was out, but they've kind of pulled that back somewhat now too.
Yeah. I mean, look, the home opener for the Chiefs in Kansas City in Arrowhead, right? 4 o'clock game. What are you gonna do, man? Like you could probably shoot up his shoulder and he won't feel a thing, and that adrenaline might pump through him. So I'm expecting them to come out firing and come out not hitting on all cylinders. But look, at the end of the day, Mahomes isn't throwing to two of our favorites, Pinkston and Thrash, right? He's not throwing to them. He's not throwing to Pinky. So he's still got some fight in there. And look, Pacheco, even Kareem Hunt back there. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they draw up. But yeah, they're definitely looking pretty slim on offense for sure. But you can't bet against Mahomes. He's been the best in the league for 9 years now.
Right. No, and I mean, and that's a good point too. Like home opener, 4 o'clock game, playing the team that just kicked your ass in the Super Bowl. I
Revenge factor,
mean,
right? Yep.
and that's one of the louder stadiums to begin with. So you know the crowd's going to be fired up.
Yep. Yep. They're going to be playing that Florida State song, that they stole from Florida State. It's not really a Chiefs song. They stole it from Florida State, and the Braves stole it from Florida State too. Just figured I'd point that out there.
No, so I mean, so what do the Eagles need to do to win the game? Like, what matchups? Like, I guess we might as well get into it. What are your 3 keys to the game?
So my three keys are pretty cut and dry. So I think they have to establish the run game. I think the run game last week was I give it a C. It was good. It had some bursts, but then it also fell flat on its face, right? So I think they need to establish the run game and try to dominate the run game, tire out that defensive line for the Chiefs. Um, I think our defense with Jalen Carter playing, who knows how long he plays, but Jalen Carter is going to be in the game. We know he's going to play. We just don't know when. They need to get some defensive pressure with that front four. I think having that front four get pressure like they did in the Super Bowl will kind of cover up that not glaring hole, but that little hole that we have at the second cornerback spot, right?
It's a drop off. It's a drop
Yeah,
off. You
it
can,
definitely is. It definitely is. And I think the biggest key and the third key for me is Jalen Hurts continuing to play mistake free. If he continues to play mistake free football, we are always going to be in a game and we always have a chance to win the game, right? So I saw this stat, and I'm sure you saw it too. Over the last 18 games played, Jalen Hurts has two interceptions. Two.
Yep.
The next slowest guy was Lamar Jackson with five or six, I think it was. So when people don't put him in that elite class, keep doubting him because he doesn't make mistakes. So as long as he continues to play mistake football, we're always going to be in a game and we're always going to have a shot to win.
Agree 100%. And we're actually pretty somewhat in line with this. First one is establish the run. I think they kind of veered away from that. Some of that was the Cowboys scheme. Some of that was the weather delay too. I think I can't understate how much I think that played a role because neither team did much of anything after being in the locker room for an hour. And I think that's
Yep.
ultimately probably why Landon's back started to stiffen up on him. Um, so definitely establish the run, get Saquon going, and don't veer away from it. I heard that Petula in his press conference this week said he didn't script the first 15 plays or whatever that they normally do this week. And everybody's kind of shocked about it. But I started thinking about it. I'm like, it makes sense because, all right, you don't really have tape on the Cowboys, see how the game flows. You have some tape here on the Chiefs, and I think Kansas City didn't do a, or I want to say San Diego, the Chargers didn't
Yeah.
do that bad of a job running the ball. But I think with our offensive line and Saquon, get that run going early and then make life easier for Jalen. And then you're able to get AJ and Devontae in there and kind of keep them happy. Because my biggest fear is they have another game like they did last week. And then all of a sudden, we have other issues that
Yep.
you're channeling your inner excellence is not gonna cut. Um, on defense, I used this a lot last year when I would do it, but especially against the Chiefs and Mahomes, do your job, meaning contain. Don't try to be the hero. And I know this is going to be important for Campbell to kind of keep this. Stay in your lane, do whatever gap or contain you're supposed to do, and don't let him break big plays and things like that on you. But I think playing with guys like Bond and some of those guys on the defensive line, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, I think they should help kind of keep him where he needs to be. And I think having Jalen Carter back, it's going to be huge. And then I always like to throw kind of like the intangible one in there. Be ready to get punched in the mouth. I think this team is going to come out fired up because, as we mentioned, home opener, 4 o'clock game, didn't play well in week one, and they still probably have that sour taste from the Super Bowl. So, as little Doc Lewis used to say on Mike Tyson's Punch Out, dodge his punch and then counter punch, but be
Hmm.
ready because they're going to come out like Mike Tyson and with the big uppercuts.
Yep.
But I think if they can do that, they should be able to win this game, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you saw, but there's a beat writer for the Eagles, an Eagles insider, if you will, that tweeted out that this would be an acceptable loss if they lost this game. No, there's no such thing as an acceptable loss. Now, look,
No,
if you want to say an acceptable loss in a 162 game baseball season, all right, I'll give you that. When you're pitching Taiwan Walker out there, yeah, you lose that game, it's
that's
acceptable. It's an
acceptable.
acceptable loss, right?
Expect it.
When you play 17 games, none of these losses are acceptable at all. So look, I want them to come out and play a complete game, and I don't care if it's 40-6 or if it's 14-13. As long as they play a complete game and win the game, I'll be happy.
No, I agree. And I mean, and you throw in the fact that you're the defending Super Bowl champions, whether or not anybody wants to talk about it or not, facts are the facts. And you're one of the Super Bowl favorites now. So
Hmm.
you cannot, it's not acceptable. Like back in 2000 when the Eagles lose to like the St. Louis Rams, okay, they're an up and coming team. It's a measuring stick game. I'll I'll give you that as an acceptable, but not as Super Bowl champs. Like and they've gone to Kansas City. This team, for the most part, intact, has gone to Kansas City and won. So they know what they're in for. They know what to expect. So I'm looking, like I said, I want to see them clean up some of the mistakes too. Like they got a little sloppy there.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with my player of the game prediction. I'm going back on defense this week, and I think he's gonna build off of the Super Bowl dominance that he had, and I'm going with Cooper DeJean. I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's gonna he's gonna just cause problems for Mahomes all game. Because look, I honestly think that these guys have that confidence right now. They are the measuring stick. They're not going up against the measuring stick. They are the stick that everybody measures themselves against now. And I
Great
think
point.
they know that. They have the swagger. They have that. And like I heard somebody, I think it was on NFL radio on Sirius, that said, like certain teams just have that swagger. Like, it when they walk out onto the field that something's different about them, right? Like it looks different, feels different. There's just something different, right? You remember when we were in high school and seeing like Coatesville break through that TP or whatever we had back in the day, right?
Yep.
When they were by the end zone. Like something was different about that when you played the fight song and all that stuff. When the Eagles take that field, no matter what stadium they're at, something's different about this team. There's that swagger, there's that confidence. And I think that starts with Jalen, but it doesn't stop. It goes all the way to the end. Um, so I think what normal teams would be intimidated going into Arrowhead and walking into Kansas City with that loud stadium and hearing that crowd, I think the Eagles embrace it. And I think this team
Yep.
enjoys it. They enjoy it. They want to get booed. They want to hear that. They want to hear all that. They want to get the other fans fired up and they want to be disliked about it because I think that brings them all together. I really do. And I think they're gonna come out and I don't want to say shock the world, but I think they're gonna shut up a lot of critics this week.
No, I agree, and it's funny you say that because Zadarius Smith, I saw an interview with him today, and they asked him what his take was on being in Philadelphia for how many ever days he's been. He was like, just how hungry this team is. This team just won the Super Bowl, and you would have never known it because of how hungry they are to get back. And I think that plays right into your point there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be it's fun for us as fans because look, very few times have we had the more confident team out there, right? We always felt like we had the better team sometimes, but to have the confident team that there's just the team that intimidates other people. We haven't had that
Right.
team in a
We've
very long time,
right.
right? That defense in the early 90s with Reggie, Jerome, Clyde, Seth, Andre Waters, like that defense intimidated people. But Randall didn't have an offensive line to really protect him. So on offense, it was Randall, and then if he threw the ball up to Fred Barnett, okay,
Maybe he'll
like
catch
that was
it.
it. Yeah, maybe he'll catch it, but he has to throw it up like Bugs Bunny because he has no time to throw. So I think both sides of the ball on this, that and even special teams, everything, man. This team just, I think it intimidates some people, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on Sunday.
No, and I'll get ready and give my player the game prediction, but should have given this out earlier. Shout out to the special teams from the kickers, the punters, the coverage teams. Like they played one hell of a game. You don't win that game without the good special teams that they had that game.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think again that starts from the top down because of the new kickoff rule. They knew that rule, and like I laughed and I looked at you because Jake Elliott hit a 58-yard field goal, and then on a kickoff, he kicks the ball 40 yards. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then it clicked in my head. I'm like,
Yeah,
he's hitting it into that zone because of the new rule. So they're smart. Like, I'm not saying that they're smarter than everybody else in the league, but they embrace the new rules. So they're embracing them and they're trying to be better at it than everybody else.
100%. I mean, it's the same as the way how he manages the cap. I mean, every team can do it, just doesn't do it
Yeah.
as well.
Like I'm giving it always cracked me up because we all had this in classes and even in college classes, high school classes, whatever. The teacher gives you the answers. If you get those questions wrong, that's your fault, right? The
Right.
teacher gave you the answers. So the league gave the Eagles the answers. They're just doing what they need to do with them. That's really all it is. So, I'm thrilled with that. That's a great point that you brought up. I mean, Braden Mann, hats off to you, buddy. Your punting
Yes.
is ridiculous. I mean, we didn't punt in the whole first half, but the second half we needed you, and you came
It
out
was
and
huge.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, and I can't say enough about Jake Elliott, man. The dude is just a constant pro. You could tell last year he was banged up.
Yep.
It's clear
He's
as day
back.
because he got his power back, man. He got his swagger back too. So I love it.
I'm in. So I'm not going to go special teams for my player of the game pick, but I'm going to switch and go offense. And the track record is there. Whenever he's had games like he had last Thursday night, he bounces back and he bounces back in a big way. I'm going AJ Brown. I look for him to get a lot of targets, maybe 5, 6 catches, go over 100 yards, and at least a touchdown.
I like it. I can see that. I can see that for sure. And I see. Look, neither one of us pick Hurts, but we know when Hurts plays against Mahomes, he's going to ball out.
Oh yeah,
He's going to
and
ball
that's
out.
why.
So
And I think he's like, okay. Like I've read somewhere, somebody said it might have been like somebody tweeted it, but it's like the best rivalry right now. Everybody talks about Lamar and Josh Allen, but like everybody's like, but Mahomes and Hurts has done it twice in the Super Bowl
hmm
and once in the regular season. So it could be the best rivalry right now in sports.
I'm telling you, man, it's like Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, Rafael Nadal and
Oh
Roger
yeah,
Federer. I mean, it's getting on that level, especially if they do it again in like a high stakes game like that. If they somehow meet in the Super Bowl again, look, that's going to go down as a
must
rivalry
see
for the
TV.
ages. Yep, yep, for sure.
All right, who do you got for some fantasy picks?
So look, I'm going to stick with my boy Devonte Smith. I think Devonte in the games against Kansas City, he's been getting in the end zone. So I see him getting in the end zone this week, especially if Goddard's out. Look for Devonte Smith to be that possession receiver. He may get 6, 7 catches and a touchdown. May not go over 100 yards because he may be the possession receiver,
Hmm.
but I see Devonte Smith getting in the end zone. And look, Saquon has a chip on his shoulder from the Super Bowl and being kept out of the end zone. So I see Saquon really trying to get a good game this week. And I'm gonna go with a hidden gem here. I think Tag Bigsby makes a big impact in the return
Ah,
game.
the,
I
the
think he
new
makes a big.
guy,
He may not get a touchdown, but he makes a big return that sets him up in the good field position for sure.
new guy.
New guy, fake headbutt.
So I'm going to go Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter is whether he plays 3 quarters, 2 quarters, most of the game, whatever he does, he's going to be a disruptor. I look for him to get a sack as well. I just think I don't. There's no way he's going to come out like the Bulls. Like if you see the running of the Bulls, he's going to
hmm
come out like that, or one of the guys like on the rodeo that like those Bulls come out right. That's going to be
Looking
him,
to hit
and
somebody. Yeah,
he's just going to come in, and hopefully he can keep that under control. But I look for Jalen Carter to be a disruptor and have some sacks. I agree with you with Saquon. I think he was like, all right, man, I got us here. Didn't do much in the Super Bowl. We still won, but I owe you one. I look for him to go over 100 yards too. I don't know if most of it's going to be like a chunky play, whether he gets his yards late, like during ice time or what, but I look for him to go over 100 yards. Um, and then I look for Jalen to have a Jalen game, like run in a touchdown or two, throw a touchdown or two, just quietly, maybe throw for 220 yards or 200 yards, whatever, but still get somehow 3 or 4 touchdowns between passing and running. Um, and I
I
will
like it.
say for the Chiefs, I do think somehow Mahomes is going to get garbage yards late. If we're talking strictly from a fantasy perspective, I do see him getting just like CD did um, last week, getting. Although he could have had way more if he didn't drop them, but that's
Yeah, I mean,
that's
look,
another story.
Dak played like ass. I'll use LaShawn McCoy's term. Dak is ass. Dak played like ass. He had 170 yards. Like he didn't get any garbage yards, and I think 100 of those yards or 110 of those yards went to CD. So like
Yeah.
literally the only person he could throw to was CD Lamb, and then CD Lamb dropped 4 balls. So you know what are you
No,
gonna do?
but I think just like the Super Bowl, Mahomes is going to get some type of garbage something, whether it's a run, a pass, but I don't think it's going to matter. All right, time for the big reveal. What's your pick for the game?
I got Eagles
Spread it.
winning. Go ahead.
I was going to say the spread is 1.5 as
Yep. I
of
don't.
tape
I'm
time.
not even worried about the spread. I think the Eagles win 27-17 because I think they're up 27-10 and they get one of those garbage touchdowns late, as you said, where Mahomes gets a cheap touchdown and salvages his fantasy day. But other than that, I think the Eagles win. I think it's close in the first half, and then Eagles start the second half. Saquon comes out, maybe breaks that long run, and just kind of they pound the ball down the Chiefs' throat in that third quarter and kind of dominate the game.
Yeah. So what was that? 27,
17.
17. All right. I'm going to go. I think the Eagles are going to score right around there. I'm going to just go 31. I'm going to go an odd score because I think the Eagles are going to get up multiple scores on them, and then there's going to be a 2-point conversion. I'm going to go 31-19.
Okay. All
I
right.
got 4 touchdowns, 2 by Jalen, 1 by Saquon, AJ, and then Jake Elliott.
All right. I like it. I like it.
But I
I
mean,
was similar. I got Elliott with 2. I got Elliott with 2 field goals. So
and truthfully, there's no reason why they should lose this game. I mean, they're the better team. I don't care, like, whatever. Clean it up. They should go in there and take care of business.
yep, completely agree. There's no reason for them not to. Everything. I mean, look, you can say what you want about Dallas Goddard not being in the game, but I still, if he doesn't play, they're still the better team.
Yep.
They still have players that can step up. They still have Calcaterra. Like they still have tight ends that can play. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it. And I think they make some plays regardless of whether he's in there. And look for them to spread the ball out. 4 wide receiver sets and stuff like that. I can see them doing that.
No, I
Mechie
agree.
Mechie might even get in there. You might have Dotson, Mechie, AJ, and Devontae in there, and then even shoot
Love it.
Saquon out there. So
Love it.
they did that a couple times last week with the empty backfield.
Yeah. The old run and shoot.
Yep, yep, it can happen.
All right, brother. Where can people find you?
At K Montgomery 38 and at Kmont 16 on Twitter. Hit me up and look. I want to shout out Philly Goat once again. I know we talk about them all the time, but Philly Goat for your apparel needs. They're been great to both of us, and you can use promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off.
And Ryan's a good dude, too, on top of that.
Likable guy, likable guy.
Yes. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter at Jimbo_Mont, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Be sure to get your daily Philly sports history lesson this day in Philly sports history, anywhere you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. Be sure to check out Kyle just go to YouTube and look for the Clashing Conference of Sports Fan Network. Kyle's a regular on their podcast. Great banner, good fun. But thanks again for joining us for week 2 here. We'll be back next week to preview the Los Angeles Rams coming down for their revenge tour. I guess it's the revenge tour this year for everybody's coming to get their revenge on the Birds.
Hey, when you win the bowl, you got a target on your back, and everybody wants to take a shot. Right? And look, you and I both know Ric Flair said it best: to be the man, you got to beat the man, and we're the man right now that everybody wants to beat.
Woo!
That's it.
And
Perfect
I
way to
think,
end it, brother.
and that's going to take us out. See you next week, everyone.
Take care.